Yes. What is up? What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Sorry for the late show today. Usually we're much earlier in the day, but Rob wasn't available. I wasn't available, so we put the show off. Plus, for a good thing, news came out sort of later in the day on the pay-per-view buy rate of Spence Porter, which it did right on mark of what I predicted, around 300,000, upwards of 350 via Mike Coppinger. We're going to break down that news, plus a litany of other stuff to get to today. But I am joined on these late night shows, as usual, by the one and only, the illustrious Mr. Amateur Hour over there, Fugatti. Fu, what up?
Sorry, man. Yeah, everything's good. I'm just busy day of family stuff, but luckily late enough show that I got on here and kind of, like you said, this pay-per-view hit pretty much where we all predicted, right? Like anywhere between 275 and 350 or so.
I mean, you guys, I went back and listened to both, not both, but just our preview show, right? Because I was like, what were our predictions, right? You guys were lower, you and Rob. You both.
What'd I say?
You said 275.
Okay.
And then Rob piggybacked on it, because like you guys do, the tandem, the couple that you guys are. Can't be independent thinkers. So you both went 275. He actually went lower. He was like, top end 275, probably 250.
No, I think I gave an area to be upwards more, right?
Did you say 275 to like 3-something maybe?
I think I said to 350 or something like that.
You did not say 350. I think you said 325. I think at a 50K range. See?
Yeah.
Math. It's hard and it's late.
There we go.
Digressing though. I predicted around 300,000, maybe a little bit above that, especially after the fight. I was getting the sense that it was doing good numbers. And I will say this, especially combined with the probable purses for both guys being lower than, let's say, Spence, Mikey, or Pacquiao, Broner, Pacquiao, Thurman even, right? Right? Like I would say the purses for this fight is lower than all those fights previously mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely.
They made money in this event, probably more so than these other ones that maybe even did a little bit better than this fight because the profit margins were far sort of wider for this event than the other pay-per-views going in the past. But great numbers for Errol Spence, for Sean Porter. Definitely going to be ones that, like I said before, if these numbers for Spence keep doing good numbers, like there's no reason to take him off pay-per-view. There's no monetary incentive to do that.
No, he's pay-per-view probably every fight now. I mean, he's not going backwards in competition level unless it's a, mandatory or something, but he's going to fight Danny Garcia on pay-per-view. Then he's probably going to fight Pacquiao at some point on pay-per-view. And I mean, they can do a Thurman fight. He's got a ton of stuff that he can still run through and never even mention Crawford's name, So
I mean, at the post-fight press conference, he said the same exact words. He said exactly, I'm going to fight Danny, I'm going to fight Thurman, then I'm going to fight Pacquiao. I don't need Crawford right now. Like, Bob needs to promote Crawford better. I don't need Crawford right now. And he has a point. It's unfortunate, but the realities of business and capitalism, there's no real drive to make that fight right now from the PBC side. They're making money. They're making good fights on top of that. I mean, we're talking about Spence Porter being fight of the year. In the next topic, we're going to be talking about my fight of the year candidates. I didn't think Fu was going to be on tonight's show, but I'm going to be asking Fu to sort of rank his top 5 fights if he can, sort of off the top of his head. And Spence Porter's in that list. Like, there's no way you can sort of take it out. It was a great fight. Me and Fu were doing the live fight chat. I think we were enthralled by the action of it. It was one of those fights that you can't criticize for any reason. And on top of that, you kind of don't want to. Like, it's a two top 5 guys facing off versus each other in a unification. How is that a bad thing? And for Danny Garcia, yes, we don't want that fight as much as maybe a Sean Porter fight even. We don't see the avenues for victory for Danny like we do maybe for Sean going into this Errol Spence fight. But Danny is still a top 6 welterweight, still a former champion. It's still not a bad fight. We're talking about the matchup. I think it was me and Rob. I don't think you were on the show about just how this fight, the Spence Garcia fight is a good one, and it's hard to criticize it other than we want better fights. We want bigger fights. And it's hard to push for those bigger and better fights when just the good fights are still making really good money for all those involved. Phil?
I have nothing against this fight. I've seen boxing Twitter. Like, obviously,
This
if you're a
fight being
Crawford fan,
this fight being Spence Porter or Spence Garcia?
Spence Garcia.
Okay,
If you're a Crawford fan, you want the Crawford fight.
of course.
I get that. 100% that's the fight everybody wants at 147. No ifs, ands, or buts. However, if you're not going to get it, a Danny Garcia Spence fight is a good fight. No one should be upset by someone fighting, top 6 to 7 competition, and in the foreseeable future, fighting every one of those guys.
And on top of it,
what he's talking about,
we went down the list. I think it was on yesterday's show. Like, who's available and who's coming off a win in this division. The best guy is Crawford. They're not going to make the fight, even though we want it. Like, we have to table that for right now. We have to admit that right now. That's just the reality. Then you have Pacquiao. Pacquiao doesn't want the fight. Clearly. The next best guy is Danny. Is there another next best guy? I can't think of anyone. It's not going to be Ugas. It's not going to be Lipinets. It's not going to be Kell Brook. Like, there's no one else there. It's then Danny Garcia. A clear third guy, third option. And one of them doesn't want to fight you. One of them, you feel like you don't want to fight him because there's no monetary incentive to. And for some sort of pride, ego, A side, B side bullshit, you're not going to fight him at this juncture. Then you're going to fight the in-house third option, which is still a top 6 guy. Still going to make, let's be honest, good money. You're still going to do 300,000 pay-per-view buys. I think Spence is sort of at this sort of range now where he might dip a little bit below 300, but you're never going to see 150 from him. I doubt it going forward, at least with this level of competition.
No, I think you're right. I think Spence has hit that spot where he's not a bona fide like superstar yet, right?
But he's a star.
But he's a star,
yeah.
And he has a very loyal following. And 147 being a glam division, people are interested in whoever he fights in a way. So it's not like people are going to buy a Danny Garcia Spence fight. They just are, because enough people are going to believe that Danny can stop him with, because he's got the power. And enough people now believe that Spence isn't the boogeyman. So it makes his fights even more interesting in terms of, what's he going to do with the rest of this division? So
agreed. And on top of it, just to want to, for the people listening, our phone lines are down. Unfortunately, the 323 number is not working tonight. Call in on Skype, Mix Combat Radio. Gary, MC Treasure, I see you guys in the chat. Would love some input. MC Treasure in the chat saying, to me, why can't one of the other PBC guys go fight Crawford? Like, you have thought the belt and the scalp would be a big enough incentive. You beat Crawford, come back to PBC, and then unify again, more money. I think that's perfectly fine. I think a Thurman-Crawford fight should be something that definitely Bob Arum is going to have to push for. And, I forget who told me this or who responded to me in this, and I made out the point, I forget for what fight it was. I think it was for Farmer Davis, or no, what was it for? It was for some fight. Maybe a Charlo fight. And I was like, look, why is person B not going out and publicly sending offers to person A? The A side. Force the fight. Make it a public headline constantly, because then the public will then demand it. That's how the chicken becomes for the egg, scenario. You need to go out there in media, in the public, and push for a fight for the public to want a fight. That's how it works. Okay? Until I see Crawford really go out there and push for these fights, and I see Bob Arum push for these fights, and not just talk some shit in a sly way in a press conference here and there, right? Like, I mean, a legitimate offer, a legitimate contract being sent to Heyman, being sent to Thurman, being sent to Pacquiao, being sent to whoever, Sean Porter even. Fuck, you don't think Sean Porter is willing to go over to ESPN? Of all the guys on that side and that pack, so to speak, on the PBC side, which one would be the dog to go over to ESPN and fight Crawford? Sean fucking Porter. And we would all buy that shit instantly. If they made that pay-per-view, that would maybe not do 300,000, but it would do a lot better than Crawford Khan, right?
Absolutely.
Guaranteed.
And Bob may have to send Crawford to Fox.
Absolutely.
He may have to. They have no plan for Crawford right now.
No.
There's zero plan. And you cannot. I think the media involved in all of this has not been as fervent about talking about this as they should be, because Crawford is one of the best talents we've seen, and he's wasting away with garbage fights at 147.
And honestly, garbage promotion.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like no one talks about it.
There's obviously some that talk about it, but it's one of those things where, I mean, I was right. A year ago or 2 years ago when Crawford re-upped his deal, right before that, that was a main talking point amongst a lot of people inside the community. Is this the time where Crawford departs from Top Rank? Because he has not been happy there, etc. But that didn't happen. He re-upped for a 3 to 5 year deal, something like that.
Yeah, it was they said long-term deal, I think is what they said.
So, I mean, it's almost not in the same degree or way, not one-to-one analog, but like UFC fighters unionizing and getting better pay. Like, how long have people been championing and arguing for that? People inside the media and fighters just don't do anything to change it, right? Like, I think a lot of us have been yelling at Crawford, you gotta switch it up here, man. Like, clearly there's a disconnect between you, the consumer, you, the promoter, you, the network even. What's happening here? Like, let's fix this. Let's course correct. Instead of course correcting, he doubled down with Top Rank, doubled down with ESPN, doubled down with the current status quo. And at some point, it's like, again, how do you get upset for Crawford anymore? And it's not like he's not making money. He's making great money at ESPN, making more than 2 or 3 million guaranteed each fight, doing decent numbers too. I mean, the Benavidez fight did like over 2 million rating on ESPN. I'm assuming the one coming up, even though it's not going to be a great opponent, the lead-in's going to make it sure at least it does 1.5, 1.7 million viewers. So, again, he's doing decent numbers. He's making great money. Base fighting relatively weak competition comparative to the other welterweights at the top.
Yeah, and to me, it speaks volumes of how like Loma is promoted and how Fury is promoted.
Oh gosh!
And I'm not saying it's a racist thing. It is not where I'm going with this, but the fact of the matter is, like,
there's clear
those
favorites.
Guys are promoted way more heavily,
like,
than Crawford.
We could make it a race thing. We could make a non-race thing. It doesn't matter. There's clear favorites within the Top Rank promotional system, and there's clear non-favorites. Crawford's a clear non-favorite. And Loma, and especially Fury all of a sudden, oh my God, like, is a clear favorite of the network especially, and the promoter. And I want to make that distinction. I think Fury is far more in a way a network favorite comparative to a promoter favorite. Right? Yeah, Bob talks about Fury but Bob and Top Rank I don't think go out of their way to promote Fury as much as ESPN goes out of their way to promote Fury. Vice versa, I think Top Rank goes way out of the way to promote Lomachenko. And that is just clear as day. It's evident. You can't dispute that. Go look on social media, go type in Top Rank : Lomachenko and see how many posts there are. Type in : Crawford and then see how many posts there are. Search.
Well,
do the basic research.
Bob coming out and saying like Loma is the best fighter he's seen since Muhammad Ali or all this stuff, like, I get it. Like, to me, Loma's a fantastic talent. I'm a big fan. But Crawford is an amazing talent that doesn't have any backing or anyone pushing him
in a better division that
makes more money,
far more money at stake.
Yeah.
And you can make I don't know if you could make a legitimate argument, but long term, if ESPN / Top Rank were very smart and really open to co-promoting with Fox, like off the rip and sending him kind of over there in a way, they would make far more money with Crawford long term than Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury is going to burn out quickly here.
Oh, Tyson Fury, look at the level of competition, man. Like, we're not 100. I mean, I'm not.
And on top of
I'm
that,
not going to
on top
pull
of that,
any weird conspiracy. But
quickly before you make that point, tie into competition. Look at the amount of money they're making off of that competition, that fight. That fight did shit numbers. Check out our video earlier this week. Sorry, Foo.
Yeah,
conspiracy.
Shit numbers on ticket sales, and no one cares about. Like, people care about Fury when he's fighting Wilder or Joshua, or if he fought Andrew Ruiz, or if he was fighting Dillian White, or, top level competition. People want to see it because they know what Fury is capable of. No one wants to watch Fury fight Safari and fucking Schwartz and this next guy that he's going to fight. No one cares about these fights. The fact that they promote those fights 150% more than Crawford fights, where he's literally, this guy is on a run of fighting top guys nearly every damn time he's in the ring.
He was just an undisputed champion in the weight class below.
Stepped up and fought his next weight class for a belt, right?
Think about
his first fight, pretty much.
The guy that beat the last guy to beat Pacquiao, okay?
Yeah.
Got beat by Crawford. How are they not able to capitalize on that? How?
They're not trying to. That's the problem. Bob's selfish. And I don't understand why Bob's so willing to work with Loma in terms of you want to go fight on an Eddie Hearn card? Go do that. Make a bunch of money. But not willing to allow Crawford to get the fights that he wants on a different channel. Send him to Fox. Let him do 5 million fucking views, or send him to Fox on a pay-per-view and let him do 500,000 pay-per-view buys. Because realistically, if Crawford goes there and fights any of those top guys, it's going to do at least the 300,000, but it's probably going to push up more.
Yeah, because
it's going to be promoted as other people know how good Crawford is.
You have ESPN and Fox pushing it. It's going to be more. It's automatically. If you make a Crawford Porter co-network pay-per-view between Fox and ESPN next first quarter next year, it does great numbers.
Yeah, easily.
It does 300,000 easy. That's not in a dispute, because the hype that would be, oh my God, it's everyone's now working together. You would have the backing of Fox and ESPN to the highest degree. It would be insane. It's similar to obviously we're not there yet because it's far away now. We still have a Wilder Ortiz pay-per-view to get to. But when Wilder Fury happens on co-network pay-per-view with Fox and ESPN, guys, it's going to get unreal. The level promotion for that fight. Don't tell me that you guys can't make money off Crawford Porter pay-per-view, a Crawford Sergey Lepinets Fox main event, or an ESPN main event. Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear that bullshit.
Yeah, and it's just, I think Bud re-signed in 2018, right?
Yes.
He signed an extension way before he even needed to, which makes no damn sense. I don't know. Does that say anything about him? He's not being promoted. He's not getting the fights, and he still signs an extension. That doesn't make any sense to me.
It is what it is. But shout out to Spence and Porter doing really good numbers, 300,000 to 350,000 via Mike Coppinger, and again, obviously a good buy rate for that fight, and I think clearly above the predictions from a lot of people inside the media and inside the industry, and also people inside this show, namely Rob and Foo, not me.
You know what else though? That post-fight press conference is going to sell pay-per-views on his next fights, because Spence is getting a little bit of an attitude and like the way he talks to people.
It's getting
When
better.
he
It's
when
getting
he
better.
said to Porter, like, I don't need to talk to you anymore. I already got your belt. Like, I don't need to listen to you. Like, people love to see that shit.
Wait,
You know?
yo, he's been on fire like for the last couple like weeks or so. It's Earl out of his sort of shell. He's a star, man. I've been saying that for a while. Like he's been trending in the right direction for a little bit now, guys, and it's clear that he is now probably the second biggest PBC star.
Yep.
Right, and you can make a honest, distinct argument he's a top 5 and even maybe top 4 U.S. market draw.
Loma couldn't sell 300,000 pay-per-views.
No.
No.
I mean,
who could?
You have Canelo at the top.
Yep.
You have Pacquiao, and then I would say you have Wilder, and then right behind that was probably Spence.
Yep.
You know, it used to be maybe Broner, maybe a Thurman back in the day in a way, but no, it's clear that it's Spence now. Like, there's no way you can deny that. Moving on,